Good morning. I want to thank everybody for taking your time on this Monday morning after what I hope was a wonderful Mother's Day for all of our mothers out there to join us for our webinar as we prepare and are working in our communities on Preservation Month activities. This month's webinar is entitled Celebrating National Historic Preservation Month during May and beyond. And we're excited that Lee Burns, who's our Education and Outreach Coordinator here in our office, will be providing the entertainment for the morning. Just a couple of reminders about our webinar series. I have everybody muted on the webinar who's participating. That way we can cut back on feedback and make it a little bit clearer. As always, we record the webinar and we'll be posting it to our YouTube channel a little bit later on this week. We'll make sure that we send out an email and let you know when it's been posted. If you do have a question, please take advantage of the question box, which is on your dashboard where you logged in. Type your question and we'll take all questions at the end of the webinar. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Lee Burns to get started. Thank you, Lee, for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Billy.
It's kind of like Delicious Dish on Saturday Night Live when the staff's working on these things. But we are excited to have Lee here and talking about preservation.
Thanks a lot. Hey, y'all. I hope everybody's having a good Monday so far. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about Preservation Month and things that you can do throughout the year, not just during Preservation Month, to showcase your main streets and build partnerships. So we'll start today just kind of as an overview of talking about the program for National Preservation Month and how it began. So many of you probably don't realize, but National Historic Preservation Month is recognized during May across the United States. It was begun in the 1970s. The month-long celebration has been promoted and supported by the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And both the Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation and Georgia Historic Preservation Division also host events across the city and across Georgia. Statewide, you see our sponsors to the right and the National Trust. I should remind you that you should visit the National Trust website, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that during my presentation, but for these ideas that I've shared with you and others. We're going to celebrate National Historic Preservation Month on May 28th at a presentation and brunch at the Hay House in Macon. Event registration is open. We do have seats available. However, there's a maximum of 50 people. We're really excited to partner with the Georgia Trust and with the Hay House this year. Josh Rogers will be our speaker from Noontown Macon. I know he's going to bring a wonderful message about preservation and economic development, and we're all looking forward to spending that time together. So if you haven't registered, please go and do that today as space will fill up. I also want to encourage everyone to remember that the National Trust encourages preservation and Main Street organizations to use this month-long opportunity to showcase how communities are celebrating and saving historic places year-round. If you've had projects that have come to completion at this time, it's a great time to focus on those. Also, Historic Preservation Month is an unlimited and fun opportunity, and it excites your current supporters and introduces new audiences to the work you're doing to enrich and preserve the places that make your historic downtown special. So let's talk for a minute about a campaign that's part of the National Trust called This Place Matters. Longtime National Trust members and followers of Preservation Nation will remember this initial launch of This Place Matters in 2008. The National Trust asked everyone to share large or small places, nationally significant or personally priceless, historic, or maybe just old, that played a role in their life. Also, as you see to the left bottom, this is the logo, This Place Matters. This is downloadable. If you look here, there's a link here, and you can also link over through Preservation Nation, where you can download the revamped sign at the top left. You can either print the sign out or display it on your phone or tablet. Take a picture with it in front of the place special to you and your Main Street community. And you may use some examples from Flickr to post those. And then also share it online with the hashtag This Place Matters. Also, I encourage you to stay tuned to Saving Places on Instagram and Twitter as people from all around the United States spotlight their favorite historic properties. So this is a great way, just through social media, that you can start spreading the word about local historic properties that you're working with in your Main Street. Another amazing National Historic Preservation Month activity is highlighting projects while working with other community organizations. These activities could be a cleanup day at a community civic building or at a local house museum or along your historic Main Street. I would consider partnering with other local nonprofit organizations in your area to sponsor these events, including preservation nonprofits, historical societies, and civic organizations. These partnerships provide an opportunity to attract new volunteers that may not be familiar with your organization or sites. Another great opportunity are demonstration projects, and I think these are really important to our Main Streets. Many community members own commercial historic properties. They enjoy learning more about the restoration techniques and new products available to them. Consider hosting lectures, workshops, or demonstrations for commercial property owners in your downtowns. Also, lecture topics might include how to select appropriate paint colors, proper methods to repair older windows, or ideas for improving energy efficiency in older buildings. Just as a reminder too, if you're a certified local government community, HPF and CLG funds are available and may be used for these purposes. Those are partially funded through the 40% match locally, and in Georgia, I know that the Historic Preservation Division has funded lots of window restoration and repair workshops. So this is something to keep in mind if you're a CLG. For specific National Historic Preservation Month events, consider also these: hosting a historic walking tour, doing a wine tasting at a historic site, an open house, living history events, and special exhibits for your Main Street members. Also, historic cemetery walking tours, architectural and historic property scavenger hunts, hosting a lecture at a historic property at a local museum or historic landmark building, a proclamation signing and reception following. Another great opportunity is to sponsor a local historic photography contest and post the photos on your own website. Additionally, you could consider inviting community members to an open house at a historic property and ask them to bring historic memorabilia and photographs, especially for buildings that you're working towards restoration of. This is a great way to acquire historic documentation. You could also invite community members to write open letters and share memories with the local newspaper in a special section just in the month of May. You could sponsor a preservation awards program locally and have others help promote its success. I also want to mention a little bit more about social media. Don't forget to take advantage of social media. Encourage attendees at your events to use Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter to share photos and spread the word. And also remember that the official hashtag for Preservation Month is #PreservationMonth. While this year on the National Historic Preservation website, there's no official proclamation, we encourage you to develop your own here in Georgia, and we encourage you to write and share those with other managers. You can also post your event photos from the proclamation and all your activities at the National Trust for Historic Preservation Month Flickr page. I did want to spotlight a community, just one across Georgia. I know we have so many in our Main Street program that do amazing National Historic Preservation activities during the month, but I really wanted to focus just today on Madison. I've attended their events in the past, and in Madison, the mayor, city council, Historic Preservation Commission members, Main Street program, planning staff, and other local preservationists gather each year for their annual ice cream social and annual preservation awards. The Madison HPC initiated the old-fashioned ice cream social to encourage interaction between Madison's historic and cultural entities. The events also acknowledge, quote, good preservation efforts during the year and take a brief peek at all local preservation efforts. The HPC and planning staff also present those awards to projects and individuals who have positively impacted historic preservation in the city. One of my favorite activities that they've done in Madison in recent years was the architectural heritage hunt throughout the city. Prizes were given to those who could correctly identify the gable vents on several of Madison's historic houses throughout the local historic district. An example of this project is on the right. Madison not only did this yearly event with their local city government support, but they also include the Madison Morgan Conservancy, the Madison Morgan Cultural Center, the Morgan County African American Museum, the Morgan County Historical Society, the Morgan County Landmark Society, and the Morgan County Resource Preservation Advisory Board. So not only are they getting city and government support, but as you can see, they have lots of support from their nonprofits locally in the city and the county. I also want to talk to you a little bit about some great statewide events that are going on with the Georgia Trust. In particular, on Tuesday, May 12th, there's a lecture in Marietta at the Strand Theater, a tour. May 14th through 16th, there's wonderful work days at the historic Hastings Hospital and Building in Griffin. These events you can sign up for on georgiatrust.org. Additionally, the Georgia Trust will be offering a lecture at Rhodes Hall on May 20th, The History of the World, a presentation by Gene Kansas. Friday, May 22nd, they'll have a wonderful hard hat tour in Castleberry Hill neighborhood of Atlanta from 11 to 12:30. Also, as many of you are aware, we're celebrating the 48th anniversary of Saving the Fox Theater this year, and on Thursday, May 28th in the evening at Rhodes Hall, there'll be a lecture and a reception for that celebration. So many of our main streets statewide have always supported the photography contest that the Georgia Historic Preservation Division does during the month of May. They're now seeking photographs of the state's many historic theaters. Of course, those reside in your main streets across our state. This is the Historic Preservation Division's 6th annual online photo contest, held to coincide with National Historic Preservation Month. Sponsored jointly by HPD and the Fox Theater Institute this year. The contest is held just this month, and as you know, the Fox Theater Institute is an obvious partner because they offer financial assistance, restoration support, and operations mentoring to your theaters throughout our state. Entries will be posted to the Georgia Historic Preservation Division Facebook page as they are received. So please consider submitting photos of your historic theater and encourage your community members to do that as well. I want to talk a little bit just about what happens beyond Preservation Month and things that we can do throughout the year to make sure that we're promoting education and outreach to our many constituents. It's important to remember that preservation may be celebrated all year long and not just during May, that any special events may take place on a seasonal basis, including festivals and activities that revolve around showcasing the downtown. Remember to make preservation fun and not just about the oversight of a local government or governing body. I know so many of you work with your local HPCs or you staff those, and oftentimes preservation can just solely reside on this regulatory board and what's going on with that. So this is a great opportunity to showcase the fun component of historic preservation, and it should include all ages of community members and education overall for preservation outreach approached accordingly. Also, make sure you reach out to interested local partners early in the planning of any activity throughout the year and find out if they are a financial or in-kind sponsor. Seek out possible funding outside of your local Main Street program for the activities. I know I mentioned CLG grants that are available statewide, but there are other grants through the National Trust and other organizations for programming. If you want to go out and look for those, I think it's a wonderful way to bring outside investment into a wonderful event throughout the year in your community. Also help other community members see your historic downtown as a component of everyone's lives day to day, and not just a place for commercial business owners and those who live specifically downtown. Of course, share your activities throughout the year through social media and not just during May. Continue to join us in the discussion. Before we share questions, I'm going to have Billy assist me in going to the national page that has the Flickr website so we can see some photos of celebrations around the state and the country. So as you can see, the Flickr page that the National Trust has hosts photos from around the country. You can upload, if you look through the website, if you see this, lots of people use this opportunity to promote the preservation and sometimes the literal saving of a structure that's threatened. There's some wonderful downtowns here, some wonderful rural properties, as you can see, the historic theaters, churches, people of all ages coming together to protect and promote preservation. This beautiful shot of the interior theater. These are all photos that you can post from your community. So I encourage you to go download the This Place Matters sign or make your own, take it out into the community, photograph, get yourselves out there, and not only celebrate but promote your historic resources. Bear with me 1 minute, y'all. I have my technology guru here. So again, join us in the discussion. Share your questions with me about National Historic Preservation Month and outreach for preservation in your Georgia Main Street. After the webinar today, feel free to reach out to me. There's my email address, which many of you already have, and continue to review our website for more information about the topic and others. And then, of course, find out about national efforts. Visit preservationnation.org, and thanks for participating, and happy National Historic Preservation Month. So I will take your questions.
Sure. So if you've got any questions, make sure to take advantage of that questions feature. It looks like we have one already. Are there Historic Preservation Commission training sessions that could be hosted in our communities this year? What's the training schedule this year?
So as far as I'm aware, the next training for Historic Preservation Commissioners is going to be in November in Thomasville. I'm sure there will be workshops throughout the year that HPD will share, and their website is, if you don't know, is www.georgiashippo.org. We try to partner with them and post their trainings and make you all aware of those. But as I'm aware, this will be the training that they'll have next in Thomasville in November.
And are there any other organizations that our managers should be aware of that relate to historic preservation, or do
Sure.
they work on different things in our communities that maybe a Main Street manager might not think of?
Definitely. I think for historic cemeteries, there's the Georgia Municipal Cemetery Association. Of course, you have the Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation, who works with downtown revolving loan funds with all kinds of historic properties. And I think importantly, which many of you are already may be aware, they have the Places in Peril list. And the deadline is coming up to list your property on the Places in Peril list in June of this year. I also want to share, as I mentioned, the Fox Theater Institute. If you're working with a historic theater and you haven't received outreach support or been aware of their programs, I think the Fox Theater Institute is a wonderful organization. And then finally, I'll put in a plug for the Georgia Alliance of Preservation Commissions, which I sit on the advisory board for. They promote Historic Preservation Commission education and training statewide. And if you haven't joined that organization, it's really benefit. They have a wonderful website and resources and all kinds of information available to you. So I think those are the ones in Georgia that I would say are really very helpful.
And I would also suggest that if you have had the luck of having maybe some local authors or any books that are set in your community, or even those great photo books that are available for so many communities now. Preservation Month is a wonderful opportunity to partner with your local library, to have a book signing, a book discussion, to have highlighted your books or books that are related to your part of the state. So partnering with your regional library system is also a great thing to do during the month of May.
I also wanted to add that if you're on the fence about joining us for our preservation brunch at the end of the month, that you should know that attendance to this event will count towards preservation training, and as part of your annual assessment, we'll give you some points there. So, it's a good way, and an easy way, and a fun way to make sure that you're meeting that standard for training each year.
All right. I don't see any other questions. So if you have a question, I'll give you just a minute to get that in. As always, you can email any of us in the office at mainstreet@dca.ga.gov, and that'll go to the entire staff. We'll respond based on the appropriate contact and try to get you some information. I do appreciate each of you taking the opportunity and the time to join us this morning as we talked a little bit about Preservation Month and some of the things that you can be doing in your community. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Monday. We will get this webinar posted on the YouTube channel within the next day or so, and hope that you will share it within your communities and take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities that this month provides us with, highlighting the heritage of our own communities. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, Lee Burns.
Thanks, everybody.
For leading us in our discussion this morning.